what do you do? What do you have to do to solve these problems? There are several things you should always be thinking about. One, what's involved is, are we talking about displacement? Do we need to know directions? Is acceleration constant or not? Things like that, right? Make a list of what you know or what can be inferred from the statement of the problem. These are all going to be word problems. So if I say something starts from rest, what does that mean? V naught is 0. All right? I'm not going to tell you V naught is 0. I'm going to tell you something started from rest. If I say something has constant acceleration, I'm not going to put in there any other, which set of equations you have to use. You have to know, go to the equations with constant acceleration. Or if I say there's no acceleration, or if I say you start from rest, or you start at, the big one that you're always going to look at is almost all the time, unless stated otherwise, the starting position is 0. Almost all the time, unless stated otherwise, the starting time is 0. So go through what you know, write it down, write down what the variables are, pay attention to units. Pay attention to units. Why? If you get a problem wrong, very often if you will know it if you just pay attention to units, because the units will work out incorrectly. A lot of times if you're stuck trying to solve something and you just make the units work, you're on the right track a large part of the time, right? So pay attention to the units. What is the problem asking you to determine? All right, so pay attention or look at what you're being asked to determine. Find the equations you need, the ones you think you need. Substitute in the knowns along with their units into the appropriate equation to get numerical solutions complete with units. Now the units you're going to have to work out separately because you're going to put everything into Excel, and Excel doesn't handle units. So you're going to have to pay attention to the units on your own, but put everything in Excel, calculate, find out what your answer is, and always ask yourself, does it make sense? Because if I give you a problem with a car driving around and you get that it's been accelerating for a certain amount of time and it is now going 3,986 kilometers per second, you're probably wrong, right? But I'm going to give you kind of realistic problems. If we're talking about a spaceship, you might not be wrong. But if we're talking about a car, you probably got that wrong. Back up and see if you can't figure out what happened. Again, a lot of these problems are going to be things that correspond to real life. And you have some experience with real life. You should often be able to say, does this answer make sense? So always ask yourself, does this answer make sense?